If you're someone who thinks going carnivore means just steak and eggs for the rest of your life, think again. After 6 years on a carnivore diet, I can tell you that keeping meals exciting is just 5 super easy recipes away. So in this video, I'm going to show you my top 5 carnivore recipes you voted as best. So let's get cooking. Let's quickly go over our ingredients and tools needed. Here I have some heavy whipping cream and I have some raw unpasteurized heavy whipping cream right here. Now, if you can't find raw dairy, of course you can go ahead and use pasteurized dairy. Just make sure the ingredients are clean. The second ingredient will be chicken eggs. We're only going to need the egg yolk, so here I have 5 eggs. Next, we're going to need about half a cup of salt. You can use any type of salt. It doesn't matter what type of salt you use. In fact, the low quality ones that you have sitting around is the best because this salt we are not adding into our ice cream to eat. It's going to keep our ice cubes cold, and you will see what I mean later in this video. And for our tools, we will just need 2 bowls, one big bowl and one smaller bowl. Just make sure that the smaller bowl can fully fit inside the bigger bowl. And if you can make sure that the smaller bowl is made out of metal, it will really help with keeping the ice cream mix as cold as possible. I'm just using a pot because it's the only smaller bowl that I have made out of metal. And the last tool that we will need to mix up our ice cream mixture is this handheld mixer that I am showing, or you can just mix it manually by using a whisk. Now let's prepare our 2-bowl ice cream setup. I learned this from thekitchen.com. I'll make sure to link it down below in the description box. We will just fill our large bowl halfway with ice cubes. Once you fill it with ice cubes, we're going to sprinkle our entire half cup of salt over the ice, and we're going to mix it up. Adding the salt to the ice cubes will lower the melting point of our ice and therefore keep our ice cream nice and chilled. So really mix the ice with the salt, and then we're going to put our smaller bowl into our big bowl of ice. While we wait for our small metal bowl to get nice and cold, we're going to separate our egg yolks from our egg whites. I am using 5 egg yolks to 1 pint of heavy whipping cream. But if you want it less fatty, less creamy, you can feel free to use 4 egg yolks instead. Now that we have our egg yolks, we are going to pour our entire pint of heavy whipping cream into our small metal bowl. Then we're going to pour our egg yolks into that, and we're going to start mixing it up. If you're using an electric mixer like I am, it's going to take a total of 10 minutes of mixing. And make sure that you are using the lowest setting of your electric mixer. And if you want to do it manually with a whisk, it's just going to be a bit more of an arm workout, and you will have to whisk it for a total of 15 minutes. Here's what the texture looks like after 6 minutes of beating it up. It is starting to become thicker and thicker. And here's the finished texture of 10 minutes total of beating it up. As you can see, it has become whipped. And when I lift the mixer, the ice cream is stiff and stays in place. This is the type of texture that we want to achieve. From here, we are going to cover the entire 2 bowls with a towel, and we're going to transfer both of the bowls, just the entire setup, into our freezer. And we're going to freeze for a total of 45 minutes, so set your timer. After 45 minutes, we're going to take it out of the freezer, and we are now going to complete part 2 of mixing up our ice cream. This step is crucial to achieving that final creamy texture for our ice cream, as it is breaking down all of the ice crystals that have formed when it was sitting in the freezer. If you're using an electric mixer, do it for 5 minutes total. And if you're doing it manually with a whisk, you will just need to beat it for about 7 minutes. I'm personally going to now transfer the ice cream mix into a glass Pyrex bowl, cover the lid, and put it in the freezer to harden up into ice cream. But of course, you can also just keep the ice cream in the current bowl that you have and cover it with a plastic wrap. If you do use a plastic wrap to cover it, make sure that it is touching the surface of the ice cream. From here, we're going to be freezing it for a couple of hours. If you like your ice cream more soft serve, then I would freeze for 2 hours. If you like it a bit stiffer, then freeze for 4 hours. Okay, the 4 hours are up, and this is what the ice cream looks like straight out of the freezer. Cue the heavenly music. So I was pleasantly surprised to see how similar the texture this came out to be when compared to store-bought ice cream brands with all the sugar and all the junk. Except this is only 2 ingredients, you can make it at the comfort of your home, and it is affordable. And most importantly, it is guilt-free and good for you.
That's all?
Yes.
Are you like rationing around here or something like that?
Yeah.
Can you give me both paws?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. He love it. For these dairy-free carnivore pancakes, we will just need 3 ingredients: 3 eggs, some collagen, and some gelatin. The collagen and the gelatin will act as our animal-based flour as well as our thickening agent to make the fluffiest carnivore pancakes. Collagen and gelatin are both made from the bone, skin, and connective tissue of animals. Gelatin is just simply the cooked form of collagen. I will make sure to link both of them down below in the description box, but I was able to easily find them at my local grocery stores. The first step requires us to separate our egg yolks from the egg whites, and since I'm cooking for 2 people, I'll be doubling the amounts. 3 eggs will make you 3 pancakes, 6 eggs will make you 6 pancakes. We're going to just need 2 tablespoons of gelatin. If you're cutting the amount in half, just use 1 tablespoon of gelatin. Now we're going to beat our egg whites first, and I recommend beating it at the lowest setting of your electric hand mixer. Of course, if you don't have one, you can just do it manually. It'll just take some more time. While we are beating our egg whites, we are going to, at the same time, slowly pour in our gelatin. As you can see, I'm slowly pouring in my full 2 tablespoons of gelatin into our egg whites, and we're going to continue mixing it until the egg whites become very nice and stiff, to the point where it looks like this, and if you flip the bowl over, the egg whites will still stay in the bowl. This is the outcome that we want to achieve. For our egg yolk mixture, we're going to need our collagen powder. If you're using 6 eggs like me, we're going to need 2 of these collagen packets. If you're just doing 3 eggs, you only need 1 packet. And if you're not purchasing these travel size packets, you will need 2.5 tablespoons of collagen for each 3 eggs that you use. So we're going to take the same hand mixer to beat up our yolks first. And you don't need to clean the egg whites off, it doesn't matter. Let's just mix up our yolks until they're nice and creamy. After mixing, we're going to add in our collagen powder. So since I'm using 6 yolks, I'll be needing 2 whole packets of the collagen, which equals 5 full tablespoons of collagen. Now we'll go back in with our hand mixer and blend these 2 ingredients together until it becomes thick and paste-like like this. Now we're going to gently fold our stiff egg whites into our yolk paste, and I recommend doing chunks of the egg white at a time, and we're going to gently fold and mix until well combined. And here's what the final outcome should look like. It's totally fine to have some clumps of white. Now let's preheat the pans that we will be using to cook our pancakes. I will be using 2 beautiful stainless steel pans right here. I just added these caraway pans to my carnivore kitchen, and they're extremely easy to use. To enjoy the non-stick benefits of stainless steel without the toxic harm of Teflon pans, simply preheat your pan for about 5 minutes on high heat until it's nice and sizzling hot. You can test if it is good to go and hot enough by sprinkling some water in your pan. If you see that the water droplets beat up and dance around the pan like this, then it's a sign that your stainless steel pan is properly preheated. Now we can lower the heat and grease up our pans. I recommend pure tallow or beef fat or lard because it has a high smoke point for our stainless steel. Once your pan is evenly coated with fat, we will now lower the heat to low medium, and we will transfer our pancake batter onto the pan. I'm using a 1/4 cup measuring cup to measure out the batter, and I'm using the back side to shape it into a nice circle. And of course, you can choose what size you want your pancakes to be. Just make sure that you shape it into a pancake circle and close the lid to cook low and slow for a total of 8 minutes. After 8 minutes, they should look nice and puffed up, and you should be able to easily flip them over with 0 sticking. They should also naturally have a nice golden color to the pancakes. If you want more of that golden brown, feel free to cook for longer. Now we're going to put the lid back on and cook for 5 more minutes. Let's take a moment and admire how gorgeous and golden these fluffy pancakes turned out to be. This recipe tastes and looks just like the real deal, except it's 100 times better for you. And the amazing collagen and gelatin in these pancakes are excellent for hair growth and good skin. Now let's serve up the pancakes. And by the way, if you can see that dark brown pancake, that's what happens when you cook on too high of a heat. It depuffs, flattens, and doesn't look as beautiful. When you ensure that you cook on low-medium heat and no higher than that, the pancakes really rise and stay fluffy and risen. Now let's cue the B-roll with some beautiful music. Hello, sir.
Hello, miss.
You're fine.
Holy smokes, that's a lot of butter. Holy cow, dude. Oh my god. Did I order 5 stacks of pancakes or did I order 50 pounds of butter? Wow, I'm not gonna be able to eat all that butter.
And some fresh whipped cream right here.
Oh yeah?
And to make the fresh whipped cream, all we need to do is pour our heavy whipping cream into a clean bowl and start beating it until it becomes nice and whipped. So for me, this took about a good 5 minutes. And of course, you can do this manually as well with just a whisk if you don't have an electric beater. Again, it'll just take some more time.
Wow, there's barely any left. I'm excited to see if this actually tastes like pancakes. Oh, dude, that's bomb.
Right?
It looks like a classic American pancake.
It's awesome.
The only difference is a classic American pancake doesn't come with 5,000 tons of butter.
Okay, but this is what you get when you eat at Bella's Cafe.
You want some sugar, baby boy? Give you some cream? Yeah.
Let's take a quick break from your favorite carnivore recipes to talk about something that will help you just as much on your health journey, especially for all of you new carnivores, ketovores, low carb eaters who are still experiencing adaptation symptoms like headaches, low energy. This is a very likely an electrolyte imbalance, and this happens when you cut out carbs. You all either can just salt all of your meals very generously to see if that helps. And another solution is to just lean on a high quality electrolyte supplement. This is the brand that I recommend. It is called Element, and specifically this blue teal colored box. It is labeled raw unflavored, and the ingredients are literally just the 3 electrolytes our body needs: sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Here's what the little packets look like. You just rip one open, pour in whatever you're drinking, mix it up, drink it down, and you're good to go. You all can get a free sample pack like this with any purchase if you go to the URL shown on the screen, drinkelementi.com/SBGAL. So today I will teach you how to make 2 different types of carnivore pizza crusts. Both are delicious. One will be dairy-free, great for sensitive carnivores, and the other will include some dairy, but it will deliver a more doughy texture. Before we make the pizza crust, let's first preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and let that slowly come to temperature. Let's talk ingredients for our pizza crust. We're going to need some lean ground chicken. You can, of course, use lean ground turkey, lean ground pork, lean ground beef even, but because I want the pizza crust to not be too overpowering in flavor, I went with lean ground chicken. I'm going to do 1 pound of lean ground chicken for each pizza. For the flour of the pizza, I will provide you different options. This is pork rind crumbs, also known as pork panko, made out of pork rind chips. If you don't eat pork, you can use Carnivore Crisps chicken breast chips and blend that in a food processor to a fine flour. Or you can just go ahead and get the Carnivore Crisps flours that they provide on their website. They have a grass-fed beef flour, as I am showing right now. I will actually be going with the beef flour today for my pizzas, but you can use any of the 3 flours that I just mentioned. For each pound of ground chicken, I will be putting 1 whole cup of the flour. Once a whole cup of the beef flour is in both bowls, I will crack 1 single chicken egg in each bowl as well. Now, if you have a food processor or a hand blender at home, feel free to use that to mix each of these pizza crust blends. I will just be using my hands and mixing it up really well manually, and it works just as fine using hands. By the way, the pizza crust that I made were delicious, so don't worry about getting fancy gadgets or fancy tools for this. Here's the final product of the pizza crust dough. It actually kind of looks like whole wheat bread dough, but of course this is 1,000 times better for you. For our second version of the pizza dough, I will be adding in some dairy, and this is a very good brand clean cream cheese. No strange additives or weird ingredients added at all. So if you have some clean cream cheese, this will really give it a bouncier, fluffier, doughier texture to your pizza crust. I will be adding 3 whole tablespoons of the sour cream, and you need to make sure that it is at room temperature so that it is easy to mix with your hands. Once the room temp cream cheese is in the bowl, go ahead and mix it up until it becomes a nice dough. Now let's shape our pizza crusts. I'm going to take the cream cheese pizza dough first, put it on some parchment paper, then put another sheet of parchment paper completely over the pizza dough, and we're going to use, if you have a rolling pin, that would be easiest to roll it out. I'm just going to use my hands to spread it out and flatten it out so that it looks something like this. Of course, you can also control how thick or thin you would like your pizza crust. I was going more for a thinner pizza crust today. For my dairy-free pizza crust, I called Steak and Butter Guy to help out to flatten this one, and as you can see, he used his whole body to flatten it out into a perfect, beautiful pizza crust.
All the way off. Look at that beautiful crust! Yay!
By now, your oven should be heated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and now we will transfer our pizza crust into the oven and cook for a total of 20 minutes. Now let's talk pizza toppings. I'm going with this raw jack style cheese for our pizza. I went with this one because it is the lowest in salt added. I prefer to not have salt at all in my carnivore diet, so of course today's pizza will be a treat meal. If you want to learn more about my no salt carnivore journey, I've linked that video down below. I will be making a cream sauce for Steak and Butter Guy's pizza, so we will be needing some heavy whipping cream, and we'll also use some of the jack cheese for the sauce as well. Meat toppings, I'll be using some sugar-free salami for Steak and Butter Guy and some ground beef bites for mine. Of course, you can use any meat toppings you'd like. To make the thick cream sauce for the pizza, we're just going to heat up our heavy whipping cream until it gets to a boil. Then once it gets to a boil, lower the heat to low and then add in some cheese to help thicken up the sauce. Of course, keep mixing throughout, and this should be the end product of your thick, creamy cheese sauce. If you didn't get shredded cheese for the pizza, go ahead and manually shred your cheese. And by the way, you do not need to use cheese for your pizza. An alternative is the delicious carnivore sauce that I made in my last meal plan video. It is simply made out of egg yolk and beef fat. I'll make sure to link that video down below in the description box. Okay, our pizza crusts are ready. It's been 20 minutes of cooking at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to take it out of the oven and put on our pizza toppings. For Steak and Butter Guy's pizza, I'm going to start off by spreading the thick creamy cheese sauce on the crust. Once that's evenly spread out, we're going to sprinkle a generous amount of our shredded raw jack cheese. Of course, since it is raw cheese, we will no longer get the benefits of the raw cheese after we heat it up in the oven again, but I always love the flavor of raw cheese more than pasteurized cheese. For Steak and Butter Guy's pizza, I decided to do half salami slices on one side and the other half ground beef little niblets, so it kind of looks like an Italian sausage pizza. For my pizza, I kept it as plain and simple as possible. I skipped the salami since it's way too salty for me and just topped it with raw cheese and the ground beef niblets. Now, the final step is to just broil the pizzas for exactly 10 minutes. Of course, if you want it extra crispy, extra burnt, and extra golden, you can broil for up to 15 minutes. This is what it looks like broiled at exactly 10 minutes. The pizza crust is more doughy and not as chip-like, and this is what it looks like when it is broiled at 15 minutes. Much more crispy, golden, and browned.
Where's the buns from?
I made it, babe! Mmm. Mmm. Mmm.
if you want a crispier, crunchier pizza, I would broil for 15 minutes. If you want it doughier, then I would broil for no more than 10 minutes. If you guys try this recipe, please tag me on all socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and here on YouTube at Steak and Butter Gal. For our flatbread recipe, we only need 2 ingredients. The first ingredient is going to be cottage cheese, and I chose this brand Good Culture for its clean ingredients and for the fact that they do offer a whole milk option with higher fat. But of course, you can choose whatever brand or cottage cheese you prefer. And for the second ingredient, we just need some chicken eggs. And for every 2 cups of cottage cheese, you will need 4 chicken eggs. So this whole container of cottage cheese is actually 2 full cups. But if you want to cut the portion in half, you can just do 1 cup of cottage cheese and 2 chicken eggs. Before we start the batter for the flatbread, let's first preheat our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we're going to combine our 2 ingredients and mix well. I'm using a food processor here, but you can also use a blender or mix it manually and beat it until completely smooth. We're going to also crack in all 4 of our eggs, and we're going to start blending all the way up until it becomes a nice, smooth, creamy batter like this. And as you can see, I am carefully pouring our batter onto a baking sheet that is lined with parchment paper. It really doesn't matter how carefully or not carefully you pour your batter. I purposely let it just naturally fall into whatever shape it needed to have that beautiful flatbread outcome. By now, our oven should be preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, so we will transfer our flatbread into the oven and we're going to bake for a total of 40 minutes.
It looks amazing. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good.
On the same day that we cooked this flatbread recipe, we also took a road trip to Montana, and we definitely packed a lot of our favorite snacks, the Carnivore Bar. These are great for road trips, traveling, or when you have to eat when on the go. This can even be treated as a meal replacement as a high-fat carnivore, and I love my unsalted bars, whereas Steak and Butter Guy absolutely loves their honey barbecue bars. The unsalted Carnivore Bars has only 2 clean ingredients, grass-finished beef and grass-finished beef tallow. It has this nice crunch, yet a very nice creamy beefy flavor as well. If you guys would like to check out these Carnivore Bars, I've linked them down below in the description box, and you can use the discount code SBGAL for 10% off.
Hi there. Always by our feet.
Oh,
Right? Oh my gosh. Now, if that's not a flatbread.
it smells so good.
Wow. Oh wow.
You see that?
That is so cool.
Is it gonna
Okay.
be like nice and chewy and stuff?
I really hope so.
So I didn't really love how the top of this flatbread looked, so I'm going to show you a way to make it look absolutely gorgeous and have that beautiful sear that most flatbreads have. So we're going to transfer the parchment paper and the flatbread to a cool, dry surface, and we're going to let it cool down. Then we're going to flip over the entire flatbread, and we're going to cut it into pieces that we would like. You can do circles, triangles, squares, whatever you prefer. And then we're going to sear it in some animal fat on a hot pan. This is going to give it those perfect irregular seared marks on our flatbreads. Here's what the flatbreads look like after I cut it up and did a nice sizzling sear. So I basically just preheated my stainless pan, greased it up with beef fat, but of course you can use bacon fat, duck fat, butter of course, to sear your flatbreads. And wherever I pressed down with my fingers over the flatbread while it was searing on the pan is where you see those irregular seared brown marks. So it gives that really beautiful flatbread look, and it basically just took 60 seconds total for each piece to sear. These flatbreads are excellent enjoyed the next day or even 2 days after. They really age so well, and they maintain their doughy, chewy texture. So as you can see, they're very malleable, very foldable. Turn it into a wrap or a sandwich, or just enjoy it alone with some butter spread on top of it, or as a side to some hearty soup or broth. So I'm preparing a nice meaty sandwich for on the go as we go take our road trip to Montana. And so I put some mustard for steak and butter guy, some sugar-free turkey slices on top of that. And because steak and butter guy is animal based, I put plenty of slices of fatty avocado and then a couple pieces of basil. Of course, for all of my strict carnivores watching like me, you don't have to put any greens, no avocado, just have as much fatty meat, sauces, maybe even some cheese in there if you want. But for steak and butter guy, because he is animal based, he feels great regardless of adding some greens here and there and the avocado fruit. He is able to enjoy more variety, and he does need it to stick to this lifestyle. So I am happily making an animal-based sandwich for him, and I saved a couple slices for myself to enjoy plain. I'd love to know if you are more strict carnivore or if you're more animal-based. Feel free to share what works for you down below in the comments.
A zero-carb flatbread turkey mustard sandwich.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah?
That sounds really delicious. I'll take the sandwich. I'll take an animal-based sandwich with no butter. No butter.
Did you not enjoy the butter last time?
The amount of butter I had last time is gonna carry me through decades.
Whatever you want.
Thank
Okay.
you. Also, could I get your number, please?
It's literally under wifey. It's so pretty. Ugh, looks like the real deal.
Can we eat now?
Sorry.
I'm really hungry.
Mmm.
The beef I'll be using today is chuck roast. Now, the chuck roast I usually get on sale for $5 a pound, so it's a great way to save money. And the fish I'll be using is Dover sole fillet. Any white fish will do. I'm using this because it was also on sale. And for our flourless, dairy-free tortillas, we will need some type of chicken meat. Any cut of chicken will do. I just had some chicken wings lying around in my fridge, so I'll just be using chicken wings for today. We will also be needing some chicken eggs, so have about 2 to 3 eggs for the tortilla recipe. And for our hard shells, we will just be using some cheese. It's a 1-ingredient recipe. Any cheese will do. And for toppings, I have some sour cream, and we will need some butter to cook with and grease our pan for the tortillas.
For our Instant Pot, we want to start off with a saute. So right here, start.
So I'm using an Instant Pot because it is hands down the easiest way to cook a big roast of beef and transform it into the most tender melt in your mouth meat. But you can also bake it in the oven at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 hours. It's just going to take a bit longer. While we wait for the Instant Pot to get hot, let's prep for our chicken tortillas by cooking our chicken. Again, you can use any chicken meat. I'm just using whatever I have in the fridge, which is chicken party wings, and I'm just going to boil it for about 15 minutes. Now that the Instant Pot is ready, we're going to saute our chuck roast. Give it a nice good crispy sear before we pressure cook. I'm first going to drop about 2 tablespoons of butter to really bring that golden buttery flavor into this meat. I'm going to brown the butter for about 3 minutes on the saute setting, and then I'm going to drop in our fatty chuck roast. Give it a good sear on both sides. Once your chicken is fully cooked, and again, it doesn't matter what chicken you use or how you cook your chicken, we just need cooked through chicken meat. We're just going to take out our chicken from the water, and I'm actually going to save this fatty chicken broth by pouring it into our chuck roast. Obviously, you don't have to do this if you don't want. I just want to put this liquid in there so it can bring even more flavor to our roast meat. If you don't put the broth into the chuck roast pot, just make sure you put about 2 cups of water before you start the pressure cook. I will personally be pressure cooking this chuck roast, which is about 3 pounds of meat, for 50 minutes total, and I'm going to let the pressure naturally release. For our chicken tortillas, we will need a food processor, but you can also use a hand blender, smoothie blender, whatever that can mix up our ingredients very well. So we're going to need 2 whole chicken eggs to 1 full cup of chicken meat. Okay, so for every full cup of chicken meat, you will add 2 whole chicken eggs. So let's pour our full cup of chicken meat into the food processor and crack both of our eggs and start blending this mixture up. Now that we have our mixture ready to go, let's grease our pan with some butter. Of course, if you don't want to use butter, you can use any animal fat like tallow, pork lard, duck fat, whatever you would like, just to grease our pan. For the tortillas, take a look at the mixture right here. This is the consistency that we want to reach. So if your consistency is a bit thicker or sludgier, you can actually add some egg whites only to make it a little bit more liquid. This is the exact consistency that we want to give us that fluffy, bouncing tortilla. My technique is I take a spoonful, drop it into the pan, then I just create light circles to slowly spread out the tortilla into a bigger, rounder circle. So you want to be very gentle and delicate so that we don't create holes in the raw tortilla mix. For bouncy, soft tortillas, we do want to cook on low heat. Yes, it's going to take longer, but it is so worth it because it actually tastes and mimics a tortilla texture and feel. So for me, cooking on low heat means cooking about 3 minutes per side for a really delicate, flourless, but similar tortilla texture. Now for our hard taco shells, we're just going to need one ingredient, and that is cheese. I'm going with some raw mozzarella cheese, and of course, since I'll be cooking it, it will no longer be raw, but I really like this brand, and it is low salt, so this brand is great. Everything that I use, by the way, linked down below. I'm going to shred the cheese because we do need shredded cheese for the hard shell tacos, and then we're going to spread it out in large circles, basically how large you want your taco shells, circles of shredded cheese, okay, on some parchment paper and over a baking sheet because we will be baking it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for a total of 12 minutes. Also, Simba says hi. So by the way, for the cheese taco shells, it might take 10 minutes, it might take 12 minutes, it might take 14 minutes. It all depends on the type of cheese that you use, but you want it just hard enough, but yet soft enough where you can still mold it. That is why I have this funny looking cup setup right here. It's just 2 cups, put something long over the cups so that we can drape our cheese shells over the ladle / chopstick so that it naturally falls into a molded shape of a taco shell. I would let each of the cheese molds rest over the ladle or whatever you are hanging up on cups for about 3 minutes so that it can harden up and stay that shape. Now let's visit our beef meat. This is the chuck roast that I put in the Instant Pot after 50 minutes and I let the pressure naturally release. As you can see, the chuck roast is still in one piece and intact, but we want to manually pull it apart so it becomes shredded beef, perfect for tacos. Here's the finished product after manually shredding it up. It is so flavorful because we did that initial sear in browned butter, and I also poured in that chicken broth, so it is just packed with flavor. And by the way, I personally don't need any seasonings or salt to my carnivore meals because I just love the flavor of plain meat, especially when cooked well. But of course, you can season and salt however you wish. If you like your taco seasoning or your pepper or your hot sauce, feel free to add that to the meats or at the very end as a condiment. Now, let's quickly saute up our fish taco meat. I'm going to, again, use this Dover sole filet, honestly, just because it was on sale for $4.99 a pound. But you can use any white fish. White fish is most suitable for fish tacos. For this, I'll just be searing up in some butter for about 5 minutes. And as you can see, the finished product, I ended up also breaking it apart into shredded fish.
Ready? Big bite.
So good.
We can have taco night every day.
So quick review of the tortilla and tacos in general. I personally just fell in love with these soft shell tortillas. They were so good that I actually made it 2 nights in a row. So we had double taco night. It was just that good. And Steak and Butter Guy absolutely loved these crispy cheese hard shells. And yeah, it was absolutely delicious. So I really hope you guys like this recipe. If you try either or both, also Simba says hi, definitely please do tag me on all socials, especially Instagram. I'm most active on Instagram,
when I'm not on YouTube. So I hope to see you there.
I am seeing a lot of your requests for having written out versions of my recipes. I am in the process of creating my own carnivore cookbook to stay in the know and also get easy recipes, all of my best carnivore diet tips. I would love it if you guys subscribed to my new email newsletter, and I can't wait to connect with you guys through email. Finally, before I wrap up, I did want to share something that I have been incorporating every single day. You guys see me in my live streams, sometimes wearing them as well. Definitely in late night meetings with the Steak and Butter Gang. Blue blockers have completely changed my entire routine in the best way possible. So I wear these blue blockers the moment it gets dark outside. Some days I wear it all day if I'm working all the time in front of my screens. So I have these yellow ones for daytime and I have these red ones for when it's nighttime. So nighttime red ones are the best investment if you're going to just choose one, because they truly protect your eyes from the harsh blue light. And it actually helps your body produce more melatonin before bed so that you can fall asleep and stay asleep. So besides these blue blockers, I do also love Boncharge's other biohacking products, like this red light sauna blanket. This is so cool because it wraps 360 degrees around your entire body. It's just like a blanket that hugs you. It gets warm. It gives you all of the benefits of red light therapy, and it is extremely comfy and warm. If you guys would like to check out any of Boncharge's biohacking products, I'll make sure to link them down below, and you guys can use my discount code SBGAL for 10% off your order. Thank you all so much for watching. Check out my Bella's Cafe playlist for all of my recipes in one playlist. SBG out.